Hi, it's Amanda Ollier here, again this morning out walking with Bear. And I just thought I'd shoot another quick little video this morning because a short while ago, just a few weeks ago actually, not that long, I was out walking in the woods and everything was brown like you see it is on the floor here now. Everything, the whole woods, the whole woodland floor was like this. And when it's like that, it looks a bit grim and a bit dull. And I've often thought that, sometimes life feels a bit like that, doesn't it? It feels a bit brown and grey and a bit like hard work, hard underfoot, and not much to lift your gaze for. And I must admit, when it looks like that in the woods, I'm less keen on walking, but obviously having Bear, I don't have much choice. But it only took a few days after the snow had gone when little shoots started to appear, little frondy fingers of ferns poking through. And I've got a picture at home that I'll put near this video so that you can see what I mean. These tiny little fingers poke up through this seemingly dead ground. I mean, if you look at that, it looks pretty barren, doesn't it? And this is quite a densely, lots of trees here. But you don't have to go much further to see what happens with a little bit of sunlight and a little bit of rain. Those tiny little green fronds have shot up, and as you come through here into the sunlight, look at this. These ferns are almost up to my shoulders now, and I'm, about 5'6", so a lot of these are certainly over 5 feet, certainly over 5 feet high, these ferns. And I find ferns really fascinating because they've been around forever, haven't they? They've been around. I remember looking at pictures of ferns in my encyclopedia when I was a little girl, of ferns that were around in prehistoric times. They were in the pictures with the dinosaurs. I think I've always held a bit of a fascination for the way they poke up these little curly things and they literally unfurl, don't they? With just a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of rain, often in areas where nothing much else does grow. And they just thrive and go crazy. Look at them as far as the eye can see. Ferns, 5 or 6 feet tall. And in fact, over the back, you probably can't quite make it out, but they're even taller. They're probably about 7 or 8 feet tall there. It's quite easy to lose yourself. And again, as I've said before, I love the symbolism of nature and the messages that it can give if you choose to look for them. And you might be listening to this now thinking that I'm crazy and there's nothing symbolic about nature. It is just the way it is, and that's fine. That's your choice too. But I like to look for optimism. I like to look for messages of hope, and because I like to look that way, I guess that's what I see. It's just the way our mind works. But I just wanted to share with you this morning these beautiful ferns and the message of hope that they can bring you if you choose to see them in that way. Because sometimes life feels difficult and the ground is barren, but actually it doesn't take much to turn it around, does it? All it takes is that tiny seed and a little bit of nourishment. And that nourishment might be a bit of self-education. It might be reading something that inspires you. It might be watching a video, listening to an audio. It might be spending time with someone that you love or doing something that you enjoy. Quite often, doing something completely unselfish for somebody else can make you feel really great. And it doesn't take much to turn things around and to turn that barren ground into something altogether more beautiful and more hopeful. Look at the way that path disappears there. I think that's just beautiful. So anyway, my message for you this morning is really just one of hope and optimism, and to encourage you to look for the beauty in life and to look out for the positive lessons. It doesn't matter whether they're really there or not. If you can identify them, then they're there. They're a lesson for you. And who's to say that someone hasn't placed that particular thing there just for you? I lost my dad 8 years ago, just over 8 years ago. And I miss him, of course I do. But I choose only to remember him happily and fondly, and it really makes a difference for me. But there's one little thing that I do. I had an experience a few years ago, And I decided that every time I see a fluffy or a white feather somewhere in my path, then that's a sign for me that my dad's been thinking about me, or, you know, it's a message to let me know that he's fine. It's just a signal from him to me. Now, I have no idea whether that's even possible. I have no idea at all. I happen to believe that it might be, but that's just because it suits me to believe that. I have no proof one way or the other. I've tried to explain this to my children, because whether it's true or not really, really doesn't matter. What matters is that it's something good that reminds me of him at a moment that I might not, excuse me, otherwise be thinking of him, and it reminds me of him in a positive way. And look, and this is no word of a lie, look what's down here. A little white feather. Now, could that timing possibly be any better? It's a bit hidden in the ground, but there you go. So whenever I see a feather like this, I just think happy thoughts of my dad and throw it up to blow away. And it's things like that, you know, that can really make a difference. Life can be difficult if you choose for it to be. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that life is always easy. Stuff happens, life happens, and sometimes it's really, really tough. I know that, I've been there. But a lot of the time, things will appear the way you expect them to appear, and things will be more difficult or more easy depending on your outlook. So all I'm trying to say is, try to look for the positive, try to look for the good. Look for the feathers. That's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the lovely woods this morning, and I hope you go out and make yourself a really fantastic day today.